opponent for Shrewsbury Town is coming up right now.
Hello and welcome to BBC Broadcasting House in the heart of London, where we're on the set of the One Show to bring you the draw for the fifth round of the FA Cup. Outside are gathered supporters of each of the teams left in the competition, all eager to discover their next opponents and then eager to put their coats back on. Inside with me to make the draw, two former England internationals who've both lifted this famous old trophy. Let's start with Glenn Johnson, whose 15-year top-flight career included the Premier League title with Chelsea in 2005. He also won the League Cup with both Chelsea and again with Liverpool in 2008. He got his hands on the FA Cup following Portsmouth's 1-0 win over Cardiff. The evergreen Teddy Sheringham clocked up 926 appearances and 361 goals for clubs including Millwall, Forest, Tottenham, West Ham and Manchester United, and it was with Manchester United in 1999 that he famously helped land the club an historic treble of Premier League, FA Cup and Champions League. That really was a remarkable week, Teddy, wasn't it?
A little bit better than the last week I've had, yeah.
Yeah, Tate doing the treble over dressing as a tree. As far as you're concerned, with Portsmouth, because the expectations weren't they were going to win the FA Cup, that must have been equally memorable.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, every young kid dreams of lifting the FA Cup, and we were certainly nowhere near being favourites, but you sort of take every round as it comes, and someone does you a few favours along the way, and then before you know it, you're in a semi-final, and you think now we've got a big chance.
Okay, before we get started, let's just show you a few of the numbers to watch out for. Manchester United, the 12-time winners, are number one. Chelsea are number two. And Frank Lampard could be the third man to win the Cup as player and manager for Chelsea. Southampton or Tottenham need a replay. They're number three. Bournemouth or Arsenal are playing tonight. They're number five. The Championship leaders, West Brom, are 10. They knocked out West Ham, of course. The holders, Manchester City, are 13. Portsmouth are the lowest ranked side, definitely through their 15. And Shrewsbury still in the draw after that dramatic fight back. They are 16, along with Liverpool. So Glenn will draw the home teams, Teddy will draw the away teams. Glenn, you're in charge of the bag, so make sure it's carefully placed inside the bowl and all 6 people are out. Just make sure you flatten it down on the desk to check that they're all out. Yeah?
Yep.
All good. Gone. Okay, so you'll draw the home, Teddy the away, give them a swirl, and away we go for the fifth round of the FA Cup.
4.
Number 4, that is Sheffield Wednesday, looking to reach the quarterfinals for the first time in 5 seasons.
13.
And going to Hillsborough will be the cup holders, Manchester City. Sheffield Wednesday will play Manchester City.
9.
Number 9, that is Reading or Cardiff. 2 championship sides who need a replay.
8.
And Reading or Cardiff will welcome Sheffield United. So both Sheffield sides out early. Wednesday at home, United are away. Number 2, Glenn's former team, Chelsea.
16.
And going to Stamford Bridge are Shrewsbury or Liverpool. Chelsea will be at home to Shrewsbury or Liverpool.
It's a bit much, that one.
I know, Shrewsbury fan seems a lot happier than a Liverpool fan about that draw.
10.
Number 10, that's the Championship leaders, West Brom. They knocked out West Ham on Saturday. And at the Hawthorns will be
14.
Number 14, Newcastle or Oxford United. 2 sides that need a replay. So West Brom get Newcastle or Oxford. 7, Leicester City. Brendan Rodgers' side winning at Championship team Brentford on Saturday lunchtime.
12.
And Leicester get something grown in the audience. Leicester get Coventry or Birmingham. They need a replay. It really is all Midlands, isn't it? Leicester against Coventry or Birmingham.
6.
That's Northampton Town or Derby County. They played on Friday night. they will need a replay.
Number 1.
And Northampton or Derby get Manchester United. It's a very happy Northampton fan as well. Northampton or Derby against Manchester United.
3.
Southampton or Tottenham, an all Premier League replay.
Nice easy one, eh? 11.
And they get the side who are bottom of the Premier League. Norwich, that's an all Premier League tie, whatever happens in that replay. Southampton or Tottenham against Norwich.
15.
And 15 means that Portsmouth are at home in round 5 for the first time since they reached the final in 2010. And hopefully
5.
is 5. So Portsmouth will play Bournemouth or Arsenal in the 5th round of the cup. Very intense words going on out there. That concludes the draw for the 5th round of the FA Cup. Those ties are to be played between the 2nd and the 5th of March.
Thank you very much for that, chappers. I should point out, for the benefit of those of us working in radio, is that outside the One Show studio, which is where the draw is taking place, there is a fan wearing the shirt of every team involved in the draw, and they're shaking hands when the draw is announced. So that's what they're referring to when they're talking about all the exciting scenes outside the One Show studio.
I thought they could have had a little bit more comment. Rather than shaking hands, they could have had a sort of fake dust-up or
They could have had them in
with
sumo
pillows or-
outfits, wrestling each other. They just went a bit low-key, didn't they?
It was a bit low-key, that, yeah.
One of the more intriguing ties that is possibly going to happen is that Wayne Rooney could be up against his former club in Manchester United if Derby get past Northampton.
Yeah, we're just talking now. It brings back memories to us old ones, Kelly. When Man United went to Northampton last time, I think George Best scored 6 goals.
So Tony,
And that is 100 years ago.
I'll tell you what, I was at Northampton for that Northampton Derby game on Friday night, and I referenced that because the only time Northampton have ever been in the 5th round of the FA Cup was then. It was 1970. Manchester United came to town, and it finished 8-2 to Manchester United on an awful pitch, and Best scored 6. You're spot on.
I can remember that game.
That's fantastic for that one, and we'll talk a little bit more about the circumstances surrounding the Shrewsbury or Liverpool progressing to the 5th round. We'll talk about the details of that later on, but either way, it's a tie against Chelsea, which if Shrewsbury were to get past this, what is going to be a young Liverpool side, what a draw that would be.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. You know, I know Klopp was coming for some stick for what he said. I'm not sure he deserves that. I don't think people again remember that Sir Alex took Manchester United out, is it 10 years ago, of the competition completely. You know, they never competed because they had a World Cup
the World Club Cup,
Club Cup competition. He's doing it for the benefit of Liverpool Football Club. That's what he's paid for, to get, you know, and his priorities this year, without a question of doubt, has been the Premier League and the Champions League. That's his 2 main objectives.
If he could do the double there, Kelly, what a
season that is then for Liverpool. Obviously the cup drops
in. I'm a little bit older than
most people, and the FA Cup is special. You know, as a manager, I've been to 2 quarter-finals, a semi-final and a final. And that final actually took us into the UEFA Cup competition. So it's been really good to me. But I understand where Klopp is coming from and his priorities.
And we'll have time to talk about that in a bit more detail a bit later on. What else catches the eye in the draw, Ali? I've seen you squirreling away furiously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Leicester at home to Coventry or Birmingham, and as soon as I say something like this, it's going to sound like I'm ignoring the chances of Coventry or Birmingham in that tie. But Leicester, I quite fancy for a cup this season. Of course, they're playing in the second leg of the League Cup semi-final tomorrow night. I think they'll be delighted with a home draw against potentially League One or Championship opposition. Equally, we were talking about the importance of the cup to the likes of Jose Mourinho at Tottenham and Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. Well, Arsenal, if they win this
Don't
night,
forget Chelsea as well. How important that'll be for Chelsea as well.
Exactly, yeah. So Arsenal, were they to win this, would go away to Portsmouth. Again, League One team in good form on home turf would be a challenge, but you know, Arsenal should be good enough to get through that. So I was just looking at it from the point of view of teams that are potentially thinking about winning this trophy. I think they'll be quite happy with those draws.
That's the thing, the way that the race for the top four is going this season, Tony. There are a few sides who'll be looking at this as maybe with a bit more of a serious side than they would have done in previous seasons.
Yeah, very much so. And like I say, we're sat here tonight waiting for the game to start. Now, Arteta, I think he's come out and said how important this game is for him. And, you know, that'll be the same, as Alistair just said, for 4 or 5 other clubs, big clubs, who want to win trophies. You know, Mourinho still hasn't set Tottenham alight with all the supporters and everything else. You know, Poch was there for 5 years, never won a trophy. If Jose goes and wins the FA Cup after 6 months, he's going to be carrying the flag on his back pretty high and pretty strongly. Don't worry about that with the supporters. So, you know, there's all different, as it is with FA Cup, there's all different stories we could relate to this draw and to the draws in future weeks.
Well, Bournemouth and Arsenal looking to make sure that they will be taking part in the 5th round, their 4th round match, the final one of this first round of matches before the replays take place. It's Bournemouth against Arsenal. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. We'll continue to build up to this between now and 8 o'clock here on 5 Live Sport. Now there's time for the BBC News with Mitch Mansfield.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Prince Andrew's lawyers have been contacted by prosecutors and the FBI as part of their sex trafficking inquiry into Jeffrey Epstein, but he's so far provided zero cooperation. That's according to the US attorney leading the investigation. The Duke of York's yet to respond. Investigators in California are trying to work out what caused the helicopter crash that killed Kobe Bryant yesterday. The basketball star was among 9 people who died when the aircraft came down in foggy weather. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have joined genocide survivors to light candles at an International Holocaust Memorial Day event in London. A major commemoration has also taken place at Auschwitz in Poland, marking 75 years since the liberation of the Nazi death camp. And people who've recently returned from the part of China at the centre of a deadly coronavirus outbreak are being urged to self-isolate. The government says there's currently around 200 British citizens in the Wuhan area.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
A few problems on the roads this evening, starting in the West Midlands, the M6 southbound. There's queuing traffic, one lane closed after junction 5 for Castle Bromwich. Congestion going back to junction 6 for the Spaghetti Junction. It's because of a broken down lorry. In Leicestershire, the M1 northbound, slow traffic from junction 20 to junction 21 for Leicester. This because of an earlier accident, so expect slow traffic there. And in London, the M4 westbound, slow traffic from junction 4 for Heathrow to junction 4B, that's the M25, one lane closed because of a broken down vehicle. Mitch Mansfield, 5 Live Travel.
BBC 5 Live.
England's cricketers are in South Africa for a test series.
You have to do the hard yards to put yourself in a good position to push on for the victory.
BBC Sport brings you the Cricket Social. All the best conversation and analysis as England take on the Proteas.
He's just going to serve him up this stuff and be like, it's okay, we're just going to let you get yourself out today.
Listen to the Cricket Social every morning of every day's play throughout the series on the BBC Sport website and app.
This is 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates.
And you join us at the Vitality Stadium, where we will have full commentary of Bournemouth against Arsenal in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock. In today's other sports news, England's cricketers have sealed a 191-run win in the 4th test against South Africa to complete a 3-1 series victory. It's only their 2nd overseas win in 4 years. You can hear reaction to this at half-time, and you can also download the Test Match Special podcast. That's right now on BBC Sounds. Rafa Nadal has beaten Nick Kyrgios in 4 sets to reach the quarterfinals of the Australian Open. You can listen to commentary of Novak Djokovic against Milos Raonic on Tennis Breakfast from 7 a.m. on 5 Live Sports Extra. We've also, ahead of our commentary against Bournemouth and Arsenal, we've had the 5th round draw, which has just taken place. League One's Shrewsbury Town, if they get past Liverpool, will face Chelsea. I'm joined now by Shrewsbury Town midfielder Dave Edwards. Dave, before we even start to look forward, what an extraordinary game against Liverpool to come from 2-0 down to get that 2-2 draw. We saw the celebrations at the end. What was it like to be part of them?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. A real great evening in Shropshire, and the magic of the FA Cup is still very much alive with us. It was a proper cup tie end to end, and then to come back from 2-0 down and arguably be the better team and create the most chances, it really was a memorable night.
When did you feel that you could get something from the game? Was it right from the off? Were there nervous moments, or did you always feel that you had the opportunity there?
Definitely always thought we had a chance. The manager's very good at putting a game plan together, especially against the bigger teams. We've done it in the past, and we felt that there was opportunities to hurt Liverpool, especially at our stadium and on our pitch. We knew they'd have a few weaknesses, but it was a bit of a disappointing start, and then just after half time to go 2-0 down. But it just felt like we were still in the game. We just needed one of those chances to be converted, and fortunately we got the penalty, and from that moment on I genuinely thought we were going to go on and win the game, and done really well to get to 2-2, and really felt like we could push on and win. But then as it gets to the last 4 or 5 minutes and they started to bring on all the big guns, it's at that point that you perhaps settle for a draw and get back to Anfield.
Yeah, at that stage of the match, when you've got yourself back into it, and then you look over at the Liverpool bench and they're bringing on Mo Salah and Roberto Firmino right at the end of it, when you might be starting to feel a bit the effects of the match, that could potentially be quite demoralising.
Yeah, it showed great respect to us, and I think it was amazing for our fans to get to see the likes of Salah and Firmino and Oxlade-Chamberlain come on. There's a lot of kids at the game, and they wanted to see their heroes, and there's a few first teamers actually starting the game, but for them to see those world stars, it was extra special. It just shows how well we're playing, that Jurgen Klopp felt he needed a spark, and fortunately for us it didn't really come.
However, Jason Cummings was the hero in the end. He seems like such a quiet person that wouldn't have celebrated that too much at all.
You mustn't know him very well.
But he's got the Joker tattoo, hasn't he? Is that his character?
That is, yeah. He's like that all the time in the training ground. He's a real good character. He's the heart and soul of the dressing room. I think every club needs someone like him. He's been a bit unfortunate football-wise. He come in and scored a few goals, but then he's been trying to get up to fitness, and he's in a good place now, and he scored last week at Fleetwood and a couple again obviously yesterday, and he'll be pushing now. He'll be really important to us for the rest of the season.
Dave, hi there. It's Alistair Bruce Ball here. I just wonder, with all the debate over replays or not to replay, and we haven't got replays in the fifth round this season in the FA Cup. You know, had you had the chance to finish that game yesterday, extra time and penalties, would you have preferred that as a player, or is going to Anfield better than that?
I think in hindsight now, with everything that's happened with obviously the winter break, we weren't aware of what the situation was going to be, and a replay for the club is huge in terms of financially, and for the chance for a lot of the lads to play at Anfield for this first time. It was a great opportunity, but it's just kind of maybe been ruined a little bit by sort of Jurgen Klopp saying he's not going to be at the game and none of the first team players are going to be there, but ultimately gives us an opportunity to hopefully, or a better opportunity to go and win the game. But I'm all for replays. Being part of a lower league team, it can make such a difference for not just for this season but for years to come. The financial stability it can bring to a football club by, say, getting a Liverpool away and Man United away and things like that, it's absolutely huge. And I say I can understand why the Premier League teams don't want it. They've got so many games to think about, but I say for teams in League One and League Two, it's just incredible, and great for the fans as well.
It's interesting because this is, Tony, often pitched as a row between the Premier League and the EFL, and yet you've got Carl Robinson at Oxford coming out and saying that replays could push his players too far. A lot of the Championship managers are resting players for the competition, particularly at these early stages where you can get a replay. It might change now we get into the fifth round and the replays are out of it. But is it necessarily a Premier League problem?
I can assure David there'll still be a full house at Anfield, so whether Klopp's there or not, and the players who turn up will be, decent players. Like I say, I've been very fortunate, been in the game a long time as a manager, to get to 2 quarter-finals, semi-final and a final. And it's great, looking back, the experiences are absolutely fantastic. But again, you put the shoe on the other foot, we're talking about, our clubs being the best clubs in the world and in Europe. for them to do that, there's certain restrictions, and one of those restrictions has to be the number of games that their top players play. Now, whether they've come and said they'll give them 2 weeks break, to rest the players, and how to throw the cup. If there's a replay, you throw the cup in there. It doesn't give them that 2-week break. So, Klopp, as I've said, and David will understand that, he's played at clubs and played in the Premiership. The manager is concerned about one thing, and that's his football club, and that's what Klopp's concerned about. He's not concerned about anything else. He's concerned about Liverpool Football Club. I understand where Dave's coming from, and Shrewsbury and the likes of that, and I've managed in the lower leagues, and I know how important it is to have a good cup run, financially more than anything else. But there's an argument both sides.
It's interesting because it's almost like it's a row, this one, between, I was talking about the idea of replays, almost feeling like there's a tension between the Premier League and EFL clubs, but actually this on the winter break seems to be a clash between the Premier League and the FA, both trying to kind of assert their dominance. The key section in the letter that was sent to Premier League clubs says clubs are expected to honour and respect the underlying rationale for the mid-season player break, namely to provide their players with a break from the physical and mental rigours of playing matches during the season. Clubs should not arrange competitive or friendly matches with other clubs during the mid-season player break, but there have been reports that it was specified that this didn't include competitive matches that fell under the sort of description of FA Cup replays. I think Champions League matches were included as well. So that the clubs were warned that this might happen.
Yeah, my understanding is, Kelly, that the clubs knew at the start of the season this possibly could happen. Probably more annoying for Jurgen Klopp is that they were 2-0 up, and obviously had been pegged back by Shrewsbury, so it was a replay. He said that post-match, didn't he? He said, look, we understand this is our fault that we're in the draw.
And I thought he was brilliant after the game. He gave Shrewsbury loads of credit and said that, if anything, they were fortunate actually to come out of the game with a draw. So, he's fair play to the fella. He's come out and been really dead honest with this.
I agree with that, and the bottom line, Kelly, is the problem is fixture congestion. I completely see this from Jurgen view, is that he thought he had a clear 2-week break, although, as we've just said, was possibly warned an FA Cup replay could come in there, and it's messed the plans up. And the problem is there are just too many fixtures to be played, so something has to be done about that. I've got to say, I'm also of the view, and you just heard Dave say it there. I think Dave said it's ruined it for the Shrewsbury players and fans that Jurgen Klopp in particular is not going to be there. I do think that's a little disrespectful to Shrewsbury and the competition, and I know he's got his plans, and Tony's been a manager, he'll know far better than me. I have to say, from the outside, that really does disappoint me.
Yeah, I think for Klopp to say he's not going to be there, the players might not and can have a break. I don't think I'd ever want to manage a team, even if I put out a young team, and not want to be there, Kelly. I think that's, maybe you can argue with that point. But the point, his biggest point, is that the players, and he was looking forward to it, I'm sure, there was a 2-week break for him, and that's been taken away.
I know this is taking it to the nth degree, but what if Eddie Howe decided, you know what, I'm not that bothered about the FA Cup, I won't turn up tonight, I'll put the players out, and I know there's a specific reason for this, and it's to do with the interruption of the midwinter break. I just don't think it's just another big blow to this competition, I think.
However, Jurgen Klopp did also say the Arsenal game in the EFL Cup that it was one of the most enjoyable moments of all season because it was a young side that played in that one. Not as young as the one that lost to Aston Villa, but the game against Arsenal he talked about specifically. So, Dave, as Tony was saying, still going to be a fantastic occasion. And like you were saying, an increased opportunity for you to get through to the fifth round, where Chelsea lie in wait. You couldn't really have picked a much better tie, much better couple of ties than those two.
No, it really is incredible, and we fortunately got a bit of experience as well being involved in the EFL Trophy, where we've played Man City under-21s and Newcastle under-21s this season, so we know sort of the way that Liverpool play. But as Tony said, Liverpool still sell out. We'll still take 7,000 or 8,000 there, and the chairman will still get the payday. And it gives us a better opportunity to get through to the next round. And what an incentive there is there now to travel to Stamford Bridge, and it won't be as weakened a Chelsea team there for sure. And say that's no more incentive needed for the boys to go out to Liverpool next week and put on a performance and get ourselves into the fifth round of the FA Cup, which for Shrewsbury Town is just absolutely marvellous.
Dave, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Dave Dave Edwards there, Shrewsbury Town midfielder, head of their replay against Liverpool and then possibly Chelsea in the next round of the FA Cup. Let's start to turn our attention back to this evening's game. It's Bournemouth against Arsenal from 8 o'clock tonight. There's a lot of hype around Martinelli at the moment. He seems to have really caught the imagination, not just of the Arsenal supporters, but of pundits and commentators who've caught a lot of him. You specifically mentioned him in your team news, Ali. Have you seen quite a bit of him?
Yeah, well, I have, because I've seen quite a lot of Arsenal under Mikel Arteta, and he's featured quite highly. I mean, we saw him score that, well, I'm going to say wonder goal against Chelsea. He ran the length of the pitch, and actually N'Golo Kanté fell over in front of him. Where I was really impressed with that goal was that, having sprinted the 70 yards, the composure to settle himself for a second and then bury it in the bottom corner. And already you can see Mikel Arteta is doing exactly the right thing, because he's not talking him up, he's actually playing him down, isn't he? He's going to be very important to Arsenal Football Club, but all we're hearing from Mikel Arteta is, yes, he's been fabulous so far, but he's got a lot he can improve on. There's a lot of work to do, and I think that's true. But just watching him, and again, Tony will know better than me, Kelly, the positions he takes up, and I think Ian Wright has said the same on the Monday Night Club, you can see he gets it. At 18 years old, to know where to be, to apply the finish, and he's got a very cool head.
I think the great thing about the Chelsea game was that they went down to 10 men, and they came back, and they showed a lot of character, a lot of strength, and Arsenal sides haven't been doing that with 11 men, never mind 10 men. So he'll take a lot out of that game. But again, they move on to this game. It's a new game. I've never played in a game and never managed in a game where they've been the same. So there's different problems in every game that you play, and this is another away tie. It's a big game for Arsenal. It'll be interesting to see how the players perform tonight and whether they turn up tonight.
And here's another one on Martinelli. A couple of people suggested to me he's actually better through the middle. That is his more natural position. Now then, when Aubameyang, who's not involved tonight, gets back from suspension, would you maybe give Lacazette a rest, go Martinelli through the middle, Pepe on the right, Aubameyang coming in off the left?
Ali, stick to commentating, mate. They're picking teams for managers who know what they're doing. I think he's 18 years of age. He's a smashing talent. He's got a great future in front of him, but you've got to be a bit careful with him.
Yeah, that's what Mikel Arteta is saying. Mikel Arteta, Ali pointed out, as Mikel Arteta is saying, it's about trying to keep his feet on the ground as well. And in that Monday Night Club where Wrighty was talking about Martinelli, he said he almost does need to be reined in. He's so enthusiastic, he's so desperate to score, so desperate to win. It's almost a little bit of over-enthusiasm, but you'd rather have that, wouldn't you, Tony?
Well, I think, like Alistair said, and he's most probably watched him more than me, the lad looks as though he's got fantastic talent, and talented players can play anywhere, and that's important, to be flexible as well at times. But the most important thing is that he gets as much experience as he possibly can. When he needs a rest, if he needs a rest, he'll take him out. One for the future, without a question of a doubt, and someone at this present moment who's catching the eye.
Can I pick out another 18-year-old? This is totally at randomness, Kelly. I'm leaping to the other side of the team sheet. I'm looking at Bournemouth subs bench. He may not get another mention this evening. Brooklyn Genesini has the number 60 shirt for Bournemouth, and I've got to say, I had not heard of his name before turning up tonight, so I've just looked him up on the Bournemouth website. He's a versatile defender who just started training with Eddie Howe's first team squad in January. They've obviously had a lot of injury problems. I'm just reading the last paragraph here. When he was 8, Brooklyn had a life-threatening injury after a steel goal frame fell on his head, forcing it onto a concrete floor. It gave him a lump on his head the size of 2 golf balls. And then it just finishes there, the story. That's all you get.
I need to know more.
He was going to be a golfer before that steel bar fell on his head. He realised he was going to be a footballer instead. A much easier game.
But it raises a really interesting point. The idea you've got this 18-year-old on the bench. And you look at someone like Harry Kane at Tottenham, who grew to prominence through Europa League performances. Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool started off playing in cup competitions. This is even, when we talk about teams maybe playing younger players, it's not just making up the numbers. There's a real opportunity out there for them.
Kelly, one of the greatest changes in football in this country over the last 6 or 7 years has been the keenness, the eagerness of the top clubs to loan their players out to lower league clubs. And instead of playing academy football, we used to call it academy football, they're actually going out and playing proper men's football against teams. They're only playing against men, they're playing in front of crowds, and crowds who are demanding. So they learn to take pressure. They're playing for a manager that if they don't win, he could get the sack. So he's going to put them under pressure. So all the stuff you need to be a player, it's not just passing the ball, you've got to have strength of character. And that has been absolutely, for me, one of the greatest things that happened in this country. The amount of money that we've spent on academies, we've now got these kids out playing and they're being tested at a young age, and it all goes well for the younger players and our profession in this country.
Have you seen that with young players who might be really skillful, fantastic behind closed doors, great in training, great in academy games, or great in Premier League 2 or whatever they call it now, who freeze in front of a sizable crowd?
Yeah, and you've got to, Kelly, they've got to taste it, they've got to feel it, they've got to understand what it's all about, that it's not just a game, it's a game you have to win. You have to win for the supporters, you have to win for the manager, you have to win for the football club. It's not just going out and playing a game of football, which is different to academy football.
On players and their relationships with the crowd, Granit Xhaka at Arsenal seems to have had something of a renaissance. They seem to have, gained some praise for his performances. Is that coming just from outside, or does it feel like he's starting to slowly and very early days yet make amends?
Yeah, the games I've seen, Kelly, have been away from home, and obviously the real stick he took was at home, wasn't it? It was that Crystal Palace game in October when everything was going wrong. I think, to be fair to him, since he's come back, he has just got his head down and concentrated on playing. I think the team has started playing better, so maybe the fans aren't necessarily looking for an easy scapegoat. And I have to say, the game against Chelsea, and Tony just referenced it, when they went down to 10 men and it was all hands to the pump, he went in at centre-back, and I was with Karen Carney on the night, and she said, I tell you what, that could actually be a position for him. He was fantastic at centre-back.
I think the other thing is, Kelly, as well as a player, if you get a feeling that the manager likes you and the manager rates you, then it'll half make a difference. And I think Arteta has come out and praised him, given him plenty of credit, and it helps. Never mind how experienced you are, how old you are, how many games you've played. It's lovely to be playing for someone you think rates you as a player.
And as a player, to be where there's a managerial change, just any change at all, particularly when it's not just been football issues, but they're what led to him falling out with the crowd. It feels like a fresh start for him. It looks like clever early days man management from Mikel Arteta as well.
Same with Mesut Ozil, isn't it? Clean slate. Arteta said those very words, didn't he, when he came in? Clean slate for everyone. And I think the fans have almost thought, right, clean slate for everyone, because this is a different manager and this is a different regime. And so far, the performance levels and the effort within those performances, I think, have really pleased the fans. And you can see the improvement. Funny enough, Kelly, the results actually under Mikel Arteta. So this will be his 8th game in charge tonight. He's actually only won 2 of them so far. One of them against Leeds in the Cup that got them this tie, and then the excellent performance against Manchester United. So the results haven't immediately taken a massive jump, but actually I have to say, just watch them to the naked eye, they have improved. And that performance with 10 men showed it. The organisation, not just the spirit, but the organisation to frustrate Chelsea and come back twice in that game. They were behind twice in that game. It was impressive.
And you know from working on 606, Ali, that he's got a lot to do to win over those Arsenal fans. You'll have taken lots of calls from them, but also is interested in what Tony said, which is that he's got a manager now who publicly believes in, who talks him up. But was there a perception under Emery that he was almost sort of Emery's man, that he was representative of the Emery regime a little bit?
Yeah, I guess so, and I guess some would have questioned why he was Arsenal captain, and actually probably didn't feel that his performances necessarily merited it. I've always felt when watching him, I've watched him play international football, and I've always thought he's played really well for Switzerland. His performance in the Premier League haven't quite matched what I've seen on the international stage. And then, like I say...
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
He's looked a top player for Switzerland.
Yeah. So I wonder why that is so. But then team performances went downhill, Kelly, and yes, they were looking for a target. And then, obviously, he got some stick as he was coming off the pitch. He responded, and the whole thing... So I thought Emery, actually, I mean, Tony may speak well to this, I thought he handled that poorly. I really did after what had happened, because I was a little surprised he didn't come out and back Xhaka. Although you should never really be having a go at your own fans, there are reasons for it, and Emery kind of took the fan side. I didn't think that helped Xhaka at all, and I think Xhaka must be absolutely delighted. I mean, not that you ever want to see a manager lose his job, but like Tony says, the new man comes in, clean slate, but I don't think Unai Emery helped him with that situation.
No, there's different, and there'll be different reasons. If you spoke to Emery, he'd have his reasons why he did that. But like I say, it's a new regime now. Arteta's, early in the job. He'll be given a lot of leeway, Kelly, without a question of a doubt. This season is a give me for Arteta. Next season, there'll be people questioning him. And I'm sure he'll make changes. I'm sure he'll bring players in who will suit what he wants to do at Arsenal, and he'll have the room and the money to do it. It's a massive, massive football club, and I'm sure they'll back him.
I was interested to see when you talk about players now going out to get experience in the Championship and in other EFL clubs and being given their opportunity in cup matches. Eddie Nketiah starting for Arsenal tonight, having been recalled from Leeds, and how much he could have learned from that experience.
Well, I'm with Bielsa's a great manager as well. Top manager. That's the thing. It's everything that makes a player, Kelly. It's not, like I say, it's not just the technique. You've got to have the character. And if you're going to play for the big clubs, you've got to have a real strength about you, a real strength of confidence, and understand that at times you're not going to do well and you've got to bounce back. And getting that experience from going out and playing at the lower league clubs is so important. And like I say, for me, it's been a real great thing that the clubs have done in the Premiership over the past 5 or 6 years.
Should explain as well that there is now a light show going on here at the Vitality Stadium. The volume is being cranked up. It looks not far off a full house, still with 5 or so minutes to go until kickoff.
Kelly, what's great as well is that Arsenal have got one end. We had this Saturday at Southampton against Tottenham, and Tottenham brought 5,000 down. There's a few empty seats over the far side for Bournemouth supporters, but the Arsenal end is sold out, and we should have a cracking atmosphere. Let's hope we get a cracking game.
Let's hope we do get a cracking game tonight between Bournemouth and Arsenal. Big night for both managers, particularly for Mikel Arteta, who will be wanting to target this as a potential trophy in this first season in charge. But it's a big opportunity for some players, and we talked earlier from a Bournemouth perspective, and maybe about some of the signings who haven't quite clicked into gear yet. One of them being Dominic Solanke, and these kind of games are big opportunities for players like him, aren't they?
Yeah, I watched Dominic play for England when they won the under-21s tournaments, and he looked an absolutely outstanding player. I have to say, I don't know much about his character. Obviously, we're never in a position to sign him, so you know, characters are always important when I'm signing players. I'm sure Eddie's done his own work with him, and let's not kid ourselves, has expected a lot more than what he's got at the moment. But he's a young lad, and it's. You look at these football clubs, a bit different to Liverpool. So there's still plenty of time for him to come through and prove his worth.
Plenty of time for him to come through. Lots of young talent on display, but strong teams at the same time for both Bournemouth and Arsenal as they make their way out onto the pitch here at the Vitality Stadium. A game against Chelsea, waiting for the winners of this one in the 5th round. To take you through the first half, your commentary team of Tony Pulis and Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Game away to Portsmouth in the 5th round for the winner of this one, Kelly. Chelsea at home to Shrewsbury or Liverpool. The teams are out. We were just talking about the importance of this competition to Arsenal. We mustn't forget, Tony. In fact, we were talking about it on the way into the ground. Under Arsene Wenger, they won the FA Cup 7 times. No club has won the FA Cup more than Arsenal in the history of the competition. They've won it 13 times. It's a competition, actually, that means a lot to Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah, very much so. The other thing we didn't talk about as well is that if Bournemouth win tonight, they go to Portsmouth. Yeah. South Coast derby, and that would be an absolute massive game as well.
Yeah, and I also think, Tony, and we say this quite a lot, but in terms of a motivation for Bournemouth tonight, they're coming off the back of a win against Brighton, which was massive for them in the Premier League. They've also got a hugely important game on Saturday coming up in the Premier League. That whole momentum thing, they don't want to get turned over tonight. That is not going to help them for Saturday, is it?
No, and I'm sure they would have claimed a lot of confidence from the Brighton game. Apparently the last hour of the game they played exceptionally well. They were very, very tepid and timid in the first 30 minutes, but they got the goal, and then they went on and played really, really well. So it's another game to take something out of.
So it's Tony Pulis with us on 5 Live tonight. I am also going to give a shout out to your wife Debs, Tony, and thank her very much for that lovely cup of tea, tuna sandwich, little plate of crisp, biscuits, everything I got given.
Yeah, you haven't had the bill yet, mate.
When I went to pick Tony up at home, who doesn't live too far away from this ground, having played for this club and managed this club, and of course, as Tony was saying, knows all about the FA Cup. Twice in the quarterfinals as a manager, once in the semi-finals, and once all the way to the final with Stoke in 2011 when they met Manchester City. Immediately we get a close-up shot of Mikel Arteta, who really does have the game face on. He is staring dead ahead, eyes almost with a glazed look as he looks across the pitch here at the Vitality Stadium. As Tony said, Ted McDougall stand away to our right-hand side, which is pretty shallow, with a roof right on top of the heads of the supporters. It's packed full of Arsenal fans. Normally the away fans at the Vitality Stadium are in a section of the stand alongside the pitch, and that actually adds to atmosphere, doesn't it, Tony? Having them at one end.
Very much so. And it looks as though that end is going to be filled now. I thought it was a little bit empty, but just before kick-off, that's filling up as well, lovely. So it should be a great atmosphere tonight.
Hoping for a great game to match it. Sheffield Wednesday will host Manchester City in the 5th round. Reading or Cardiff at home to Sheffield United. Chelsea at home to Shrewsbury or Liverpool. West Brom will host Newcastle or Oxford. Leicester against the winners of Coventry or Birmingham. Northampton or Derby will host Manchester United in the 5th round. Southampton-Tottenham's the game Tony watched on Saturday. That finished 1-1. The winners of the replay will be at home to Norwich. Portsmouth await the winners of this one. This is Bournemouth against Arsenal. Martin Atkinson, the referee, long sleeve blue shirt, just checks both ends of the field, checks that everyone's ready, is waiting for the nod from the TV companies to say that we can go. He has his hand on his watch, on his wrist to get that started. Has one more little look over his shoulder. Come on, let's get...
Thank you for choosing to listen to BBC Radio on the internet. Unfortunately, the current program on this station is unavailable. This is either due to contractual reasons or temporary technical fault. Please try again later. Thank you for choosing to listen to BBC Radio on the internet. Unfortunately, the current program on this station is unavailable. This is either due to contractual reasons or temporary technical fault. Please try again later. Thank you for choosing to listen to BBC Radio on the internet. Unfortunately, the current program on this station is unavailable. This is either due to contractual reasons or temporary technical fault. Please try again later. Thank you for choosing to listen to BBC Radio on the internet. Unfortunately, the current program on this station is unavailable. This is due to contractual reasons or temporary technical fault. Please try again later. Thank you for choosing to listen to BBC Radio on the internet. Unfortunately, the current program on this station is unavailable. This is either due to contractual reasons or temporary technical fault. Please try again later. Thank you for choosing to listen to BBC Radio on the internet. Unfortunately, the current program on this station is unavailable. This is either due to contractual reasons or temporary technical fault. Please try again later. Thank you for choosing to listen.
Ball is cleared away from the edge of the penalty area as Pepe tries to slalom into the box. It's picked up by Sermon and out to the wide left. It's clear field and away over the halfway line, and it was cleared away on that halfway line by Jack Simpson, who's actually playing as the left back, and Aki is playing alongside Steve Cook in the heart of defence. Now Aki did actually play as a left back in the game against Watford. I'm quite surprised that 6'3" Jack Simpson is stationed out there.
Yep, I mean, we were unsure. Obviously, Ake can play both positions, but as it is, Simpson out there has missed an awful lot of football, isn't he? Good to see him back fit.
Joined Bournemouth at the age of 8, Jack Simpson. Ball is out of play, just 10 yards short of the penalty area. Bournemouth got a positive result against Brighton last week, but it was a game that, despite the fact that they won, Aaron Ramsdale, the Bournemouth goalkeeper, had to make several saves during that match. Brighton dominated some of the big stats in that match. The visitors had double the amount of shots on goal as Bournemouth had. Here comes Gosling over the halfway line for Bournemouth, chontering down the right-hand side, trying to find Solanke. Solanke didn't look too desperate to get on the end of that ball, and it's guided all the way back to Emi Martinez, and the Arsenal goal away to our right.
I mean, in the 1-1 earlier in the season, Boxing Day I think it was, Simpson did play left-back in that game, and they played well that day, really well. Obviously Gosling I think got the goal too.
And that was Mikel Arteta's first game in charge of the club, and it ended up with Arsenal making a bit of a slow start to that game, and Bournemouth got themselves in front, and I think in the end Arsenal felt they should have won the match. Aubameyang scored after 63 minutes of that game. Certainly it wasn't the ideal start for Mikel Arteta, and it hasn't been an ideal start. I mean, the feeling at Arsenal, even if results haven't been perfect, is that they are heading in the right direction under their new manager, but they have only won 2 of his 7 games in charge. Here is Mustafi sending it long down the right from the right full-back position. Pepe chasing into the corner. It just drifts out of play and goes out for a throw into Bournemouth on the left side of their defence, and Jack Simpson has it in his hands again. I mean, in all, they've won just 2 of their last 16 games in the Premier League, which is concerning, and away from home they've been really shoddy, Arsenal.
Well, this is a really strange back pass there from Simpson.
Why on earth has he thrown it into his own penalty area? He's been rescued by Steve Cook, but they've given the ball away to Arsenal right on the edge of their own penalty area here. Guendouzi gets it back from Pepe, and they let Bournemouth off the hook a little bit by taking it back towards the halfway line and retreating slightly, Arsenal. Here is Xhaka, back in field it goes. 4 minutes gone, you're listening to TalkSport. It's Bournemouth 0, Arsenal 0. Ball flown out by Socrates out towards this near side, collected by Bukayo Saka, who sends it back in field to Granit Xhaka. Xhaka down to Bukayo Saka once again, and then back in field again by Xhaka to the halfway line, and Socrates 0-0 the score. Here is Mustafi, forward up over the halfway line into the path of the retreating Joe Willock. Willock, who often operates in that number 10 position when employed by Arsenal. He's a very lively player, and he's just ghosted away from Gosling and run towards the edge of the penalty area after receiving the ball on the half turn. Plays it to the left. Martinelli sends it on. Saka down the left, strikes it against the underside of the crossbar and in. It's a thunderous goal. Willock certainly central in the creation, but a Saka smacker puts Arsenal in front after just 5 minutes. It's 1-0 to Arsenal.
Oh, what a wonderful turn this is from Willock. I mean, they've started really well here, Arsenal, moving the ball so quickly across the park, stretching Bournemouth all over it. 1- and 2-touch football, zipping it. Lovely little ball into him. He does a little no-touch turn, uses his body and his muscle, then carries it diagonally across the park, picks up Martinelli. You think, go on then, he's probably going to shoot. No, deceives everyone, lays it off to the left-hand side. There's Saka in a couple of yards of space. Takes 1 touch to set himself, and then he rifles it into the roof of the net. Travers absolutely no chance. Brilliant strike.
It's a really good finish from Bukayo Saka, but it's been made by the run from Willock. Lovely turn, driving into the box, feeding Martinelli. He had the presence of mind, the youngster, to play in another youngster, an 18-year-old playing the ball down the left channel and into the path of the on-rushing other 18-year-old, and he smacked it against the underside of the crossbar from a tight angle, and Mark Travers is already picking the ball out of his net inside 5 minutes. So it's 1-0 to Arsenal.
Well, he got a touch to it, a faint touch to it, but just a power took it past him, and it was really, really good football. They've started so well. I mean, look, Bournemouth have tried to press them hard, and sometimes you alluded to it, and a lot of Arsenal fans have said that. I saw at the Emirates, when they are pressed, often they do go back and end up back in their back line or back with their goalkeeper, but they haven't done it so much here today. They've been more progressive with their passing.
It's a really good goal from Arsenal. And they lead by a goal to 0 with the prize in the next round of the competition, a trip to Fratton Park. Who wouldn't want to go there? Great old stadium. Ball sent forward from the right full-back position by Bellerin. Up over the halfway line, looking for the run of Martinelli. Martinelli can't reach the ball. It's grabbed by Travers and sent out into the edge of the 18-yard box to Ake. Ake in field finds Gosling back out to the left again, where it's picked up by Solanke, who's dropped deep to try and win the ball. And Solanke's almost sort of joined by Fraser on this in this front line, isn't he? And Fraser almost operating actually as a number 10.
Well, I think it's more 4-4-2. I think
as a straight striker.
Yeah, they've targeted Socrates, I think, in terms of his pace, getting Fraser up against him.
Oh, Willock's on the turn again. He's got beyond Solanke, and he's running to the edge of the Bournemouth penalty area. Onto the right it goes to Pepe. Tries to take it beyond the defender. Ake comes across and smuggles the ball behind, and it's away and out of play over on the far side, and it's out for another corner to Arsenal. Arsenal lead by a goal to nil. And they've made a fast start to this game. 7 minutes in, they already lead. Bukayo Saka with the goal. It's only his third goal of the season. Both his previous goals came in the Europa League. But I think he'll be remembering that one for a while. Live on radio and television tonight. 5 minutes into an FA Cup tie. Here is the corner. Pepe takes it. It's deep towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Flicked away by Ake. Out into the right full-back position where it will be cleared away by Adam Smith. Gets tripped. And it was quite an agricultural trip from Eddie Nketiah. And it's a free kick to Bournemouth just on the edge of their own penalty area.
Well, that Arsenal front line has got so much pace in it. Pepe, obviously Nketiah, Martinelli, obviously putting the frighteners on that Bournemouth back line. Jack Simpson, obviously, could be in for a tough afternoon. Ake Cook as well.
Arsenal having to defend here as the ball goes through the middle of the pitch, and Solanke reacted quickest, and there was a little bit of nervousness again. They did give you a chance, don't they, Arsenal? It's one of those where they have the opportunity to dominate a game, to boss the game. They look like they're going to flex their muscles, and all of a sudden someone makes a mistake, invites a bit of pressure, and that just can change the momentum slightly. They aren't the most reliable team.
Well, don't you think that Arteta should be saying, don't pass back to the goalkeeper? You know, we've seen that with Mustafi against Chelsea. We've seen it here today, just dropping it short for the goalkeeper. You know, I've seen it against Sheffield United. You know, just don't do it. Play forward.
1-0 to the Arsenal. Smith to Gosling. Gosling tries to turn it round the corner into the right channel, looking for Solanke. Oh, and Socrates was mishandled the ball, and it's on to Fraser down the right channel from Solanke's path. He can't reach it, and Mustafi manages to clear. Xhaka, poor header, won by Gosling deep inside Arsenal territory. Down the right it goes, and Adam Smith is chasing. Mustafi gets it clear. He's giving it straight to Solanke inside the penalty area. It's played against the arm of Guendouzi. Referee says no. No handball. In the end, he got one full in the face there, Guendouzi. His arms were certainly flapping around, but it was his face that it smacked. And now we'll need a bit of treatment, I think.
Yeah, he did catch it full in the face, but that was started with a high press from Adam Smith, who did really well, closed the ball down, ricocheted to Solanke, couldn't quite get it under control, but tried to lift it over Guendouzi and just caught him in the face. But you just saw Socrates get a little bit too tight to Solanke, he rolled him, and I think that's why the likes of Fraser's up there. Fraser and Solanke may be targeting Socrates. He's the one, I think, of the two, well, Arsenal fans might say both, might say Mustafi as well, but I think that's why they're playing with the two up top today. I think they see those two Arsenal centre-halves that you can get at them.
Well, you can get at them. We've seen it over the course of the season that they are get-attable, eminently get-attable.
That'll do.
What is a word?
Get-attable.
Yeah, definitely. I've just inserted it into the Collins Oxford Dictionary.
Metaface lexicon.
Yeah. 12th appearance of the season for Skodran Mustafi. You're listening to Bournemouth against Arsenal in the 4th round of the FA Cup, live on TalkSport with Fiat professional range of vans. A true professional always goes the extra mile. Search Fiat Pro 555. Terms and conditions do apply. And remember, the winner of this game gets to play in the 5th round of the competition against Portsmouth.
Well, that was interesting because, you know, they could have played out their Arsenal, although Arsenal, you know, put under a little bit of pressure, but they took no chances, went long, and I think I think it shows that they're learning a little bit, just forcing Bournemouth back, and they can play in their half. They'll hopefully here pick up the second ball.
Well, it's cleared by Travers up to Fraser, who sends it over the top of Mustafi, then runs into Guendouzi, who tidies up for the German centre-half, and it goes all the way back to Emi Martinez, away to our right-hand side. So Socrates takes a couple of steps out of his penalty area. Saka's goal separating these two teams. If you look at the way that Arsenal are lined up now, the fullback's very high up. Saka over the halfway line, hugging the touchline here, waiting for a pass to spread the play. But when he gets the pass, he can't control it, and he's given the ball back to Bournemouth.
It's not the best ball into him, I've got to be honest. But the two centre-halves do split. Xhaka rotates out to play sort of left-side centre-half. It just means Saka can just push a little bit further forward and almost operate as a winger. Martelli then can come on the inside.
Sheffield Wednesday City, Reading or Cardiff against Sheffield United, Chelsea against Shrewsbury or Liverpool, West Brom against Newcastle or Oxford, Leicester against Coventry or Birmingham, Northampton against Derby first, and then the winners of that will play Manchester United. Good game for Wayne Rooney if he gets there. Saints or Tottenham against Norwich, and Pompey against Bournemouth or Arsenal, the other fifth round draw, as the free kick is taken, driven towards the edge of the penalty area. Adam Smith's ball is repelled, and as Bournemouth try to get it back up to Solanke, Guendouzi scuttles across, dispossesses him, and it's cleared away up on the halfway line. The ball is with Pepe. Solanke really does look like a player lacking in confidence. I've done a lot of Solanke from youth team football, and he was a real beast. He's a big, tall player in youth team football. He was very much a dominant figure, scored a lot of goals, great movement inside the penalty area and out. But the Premier League has been a very difficult test for him, as again Arsenal give the ball away and Bournemouth come down the right-hand side. Adam Smith goes hurtling on into the right wing position, and a Socrates tackle puts the ball out for a throw-in.
Well, it's actually Socrates who just again overhits the pass to Saka.
Great cross into the centre towards Solanke by Adam Smith, flicked away by Godra Mustafi, who's on the edge of the 6-yard box. It goes out on the far side. They want a throw in here, Bournemouth supporters, and they're going to get one. Martin Atkinson saw that it had gone out. Jack Simpson's going to take the throw, level with the edge of the penalty area. Bournemouth just maybe starting to get a foothold into the game. Ball thrown in towards Solanke, holds it up well, tries to turn. He's being tackled by Pepe down by the byline. Pepe's robbed him, then try to give it away to Jack Simpson, who then nudges it out of play, and it's out for a throw down by the corner flag. 13 and a half minutes gone. You're listening to Talk Sport, where it is Bournemouth 0, Arsenal 1, under the floodlights here at the Vitality Stadium. Every single one of these 4 separate stands are all one-tiered, and we're at the back of the main stand, right at the halfway line, about 15 rows from the front. David Connolly, the former Republic of Ireland international, is alongside me. Sam Matterface in the commentary box tonight. Ball up over the halfway line for Arsenal, who are coming forward once again. Here's Saka galloping into opposition territory. Martinelli puts on those road racers and angles towards the corner flag. It's back into Saka, Martinelli, and then Willock on the edge of the penalty area. A square ball across to Bellerin. Bellerin, who's already scored one dramatic goal in the last 7 days, has it again left-hand side. They thought that left foot was just for standing on, but it turns out it was quite accurate with the finish the other night. Willock down the right into the penalty area, pokes it wide. Pepe with a cross deep to the far post. It's aimless, really. Run through the penalty area and is collected on the other side by Bukayo Saka. Back to Xhaka once again. He produces a cross. It's headed away by Steve Cook, and then it bounces midway inside the Bournemouth half of the field. A rather stupid tackle from Guendouzi, or a challenge from Guendouzi, which was always going to generate a free kick, and that indeed is what happens.
Well, I'm surprised the ball gets out to Pepe on that right-hand side. Why he doesn't try and take Simpson on? You know, really, he's come back into the side, Simpson. Normally it'll be Rico out there, instead, no, just take him on. What have you got to lose, Pepe? Plays it safe. In the end, they work it out wide. Xhaka then delivers the ball. That's what you want Pepe to do.
15 minutes gone in the first half here in the FA Cup, and it is Bournemouth 0, Arsenal 1. Ake across to the left full-back tonight, Jack Simpson, trundling it down over the halfway line to the path of Ryan Fraser. Fraser is dispossessed, and Arsenal come forward again. Willock's really busy, isn't he, on the edge of the penalty area. Goes all the way back to Travers, who clears, and he clears through the centre of the pitch, flicked on by Solanke, but well read by Guendouzi. He wins it back for Arsenal. They come again down that left-hand side. Nketiah takes it on, comes inside past Smith, and then into a central area where he's dispossessed by Sermon, and Bournemouth bring it out towards the the right-hand touchline as they look at it. Fraser back to Smith. Travers will kick clear, up high towards the halfway line. Not a great kick, goes straight to Guendouzi, and then Xhaka is nobbled by Harry Wilson. And eventually Arsenal go all the way back to their goalkeeper via Socrates.
Well, just looking at their defensive line there, Arsenal, I think there's nothing wrong for Bournemouth just spinning one in behind. They're really high, almost defending on the halfway line when Bournemouth have got the ball at the back. Nothing wrong, just releasing the ball over the top for Fraser to run onto.
And as speedy as they are going forward, Socrates and Mustafi are not exactly the 100-metre sprinters that you would probably need to be if you're up against Fraser, or even Solanke's quite speedy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's where they need the fullbacks to cover in. I mean, there's not many quicker than Bellerin and Xhaka, that's for sure.
Yeah. But they're usually stationed a lot further up the field.
Yeah.
Here is Mustafi on the halfway line, just right to the centre circle for Arsenal, who lead here at the Vitality Stadium by goal to nil. 5th-minute goal from Bukayo Saka separates these two teams. Here is Steve Cook into Gosling. Gosling back to Ake. Ake now out to the left, and it's picked up by Jack Simpson, who trundles up to the halfway line, then goes back and into Gosling, and then further towards the halfway line where Nathan Ake is waiting for it. Bournemouth make no bones about putting their focus on Saturday's game here with Aston Villa. It's about as close to a relegation 6-pointer as you can get in early February. They will need everybody available for that game, that's for sure. Here is Socrates up into midfield. Pepe's dropped deep to pick it up. He's harassed by Simpson, who's coming from left back and wandered into a midfield position, which was already being occupied by Gosling, and has given away a foul, and therefore gifted possession to Arsenal.
Well, it's a terrific tempo, I've got to say. Both sides moving the ball quickly when Bournemouth get it. I've got to say, last few minutes, Arsenal giving the ball away pretty cheaply, haven't they? You know, since the goal, haven't shown the same sort of quality and ruthlessness in possession.
Well, Arsenal have progressed from 7 of their past 8 FA Cup 4th round ties. They're only defeating the run coming last season. They lost actually at home to Manchester United 3-1 in the FA Cup last campaign. Here is Mustafi. It was one of the early successes for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Back heel by Martinelli. On to Saka, who's overlapped and gone, or underlapped and gone down towards the byline, into Xhaka. Xhaka on the edge of the box, plays it wide again. Now on the left, the ball is with Saka. Saka looking to take on Harry Wilson, who's close to him. A little 1-2 from Martinelli comes off. It was quite elaborate. Saka with the bouncing ball, chips it towards the far post, taken down reasonably enough by Pepe, but couldn't get it under control, and it's taken out and away over on that far side by Lewis Cook, but he's dispossessed very quickly, and Bournemouth guilty of giving the ball away. Guendouzi seems to fall over more often than he stands on his feet, and again he's just about keeping the ball in Arsenal's possession, scooping the ball as he was falling back towards Socrates. They send it long out to the right, and Pepe brings it out of the sky. Path of Bellerin. Bellerin comes forward onto Willock. Another good turn into the box past Ake, pokes it towards the goalkeeper, who makes a really good save, and then it bounces into the open penalty area, and it's away by Steve Cook. But Willock once again just allowing the ball to do the work. Great movement by him. He beat 2 defenders by doing that, including Nathan Ake, and had a decent shot on goal, which was saved by Mark Travers.
Yeah, another terrific turn, lets the ball do the work, and he's been really lively in that number 10 role, just operating off the front.
Once again, Arsenal come down that right side with Pepe. He can't control again, it's out of play.
Yeah, Pepe in product. Really frustrating. That little ball from Bellerin into the front. Willock, lovely little turn past Gosling, but did he get too tight? Possibly. Tried to go past Ake there on the outside, showed good strength, but Travers came out and spread himself well.
Bournemouth 0, Arsenal 1. And Arsenal certainly have been the more aggressive team in the opening 19 minutes that we've had, only 20 minutes that we've had here on FA Cup 4th round weekend, the last of the original games to take place. We have got replays next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, and once they are decided, I'm sure we'll be bringing them to you live here on Talk Sport. Tomorrow night we've got Carabao Cup action for you. Great Carabao Cup action for you from the second legs of the semi-finals, Aston Villa against Leicester City, and then Manchester City versus Manchester United. Both those games live on TalkSport over the next couple of days. Game day returns on Saturday with back-to-back matches from the Premier League, including Leicester City against Chelsea at 12:30. Going to be a cracker. I think Manchester United Wolves is on at 5:30 on Saturday night as well. So some key games in the Premier League this weekend, and they're live on TalkSport.
Just looking at Arsenal centre-halves, the 2 holders, Xhaka and Guendouzi. It's so hard for Bournemouth to get the ball into that front. They're screening, it's almost like a box. Those two are the 2 centre-halves behind them. Very difficult for Bournemouth. They're keeping it quite well in the middle third, but just can't quite get it into the front.
Wonder whether or not Lewis Cook just getting closer up alongside Solanke and trying to help out as well. Had an extra body there as Fraser and Solanke went forward. Came in off that left-hand side where he's been operating for most of the game. It's quite a narrow midfield from Bournemouth, with Wilson, who does like to come out to the right-hand side, the more wing-orientated player, but Cook will drift in and try and get involved in midfield, won't he? Here is Martinelli, 5 yards back from the edge of the area, trying to get a shot away. Started to believe his own height, possibly, because that was ambitious.
Well, he had a nonchalant flick, didn't he, round the corner for Saka as well. I think obviously the goal and the goals that he scored, the confidence he's got in his game, plus the assist. But he took that one on from a good 25 yards out, got under it, skied it over the bar, well, nearly over that stand.
Well, Mikel Arteta said he didn't know how good Gabriel Martinelli was until he saw him train for the first time. He said people had told him that the Brazilian ace was special, but until he saw him with his own eyes, he didn't believe it. He has been trying to sort of play down the buzz around the 18-year-old. He doesn't want him to lose his head. Here is Nketiah, another youngster who spent time on loan at Leeds United this season. Scored 5 goals in 19 games for Leeds. A lot of those were substitute appearances. Here is Socrates, back to the halfway line, and Mustafi, who just moves over it gently, and then back into Socrates once again. Across to Xhaka, who played very well at centre-half when deployed there in an emergency during the game against Chelsea when they were reduced to 10 men.
Well, he's almost playing as a centre-half now, isn't he, when they've got the ball at the back. Those two centre-halves splitting. Mustafi has the right one, Socrates the middle, and then Xhaka is almost like the left centre-half. Just allows Saka, the left-back, just to go really high. Winger. Can they switch the ball though, get it out to him a little bit earlier?
And Xhaka is almost dictating that. Saying to Mustafi, get it out to the left-hand side.
Well,
he's standing over there and waiting for the ball.
Can he hit it?
Space.
That's the problem. Can he hit it, Mustafi? Here we go.
The answer is yeah. And he's found Saka brilliantly, who's taken it out of the sky on the left edge of the penalty area, and that whole ball just completely changed the angle of the attack and the emphasis of the attack.
He had to be actually told to do it by Xhaka
for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. And look, he has got that in his locker, Mustafi. Maybe he could have just played it a little bit sooner. That's their out ball though, isn't it? With that very narrow Bournemouth midfield.
Yeah. Bournemouth 0. Arsenal 1 in the FA Cup 4th round, live on TalkSport. 24 minutes gone. Remember, we've brought you this weekend the cricket, fantastic cricket action from South Africa. The commentary's been brilliant on TalkSport too, and a cracking victory as well. Here's Guendouzi in the centre circle for Arsenal. Back to the left, and Xhaka into Guendouzi. His fuzzy, I think it's permed hair, bouncing around behind him as he curls the ball out to the right side, taken elegantly down by the touchline by Pepe. Into the box he goes, sends it forward looking for Nketiah. It's half cleared. There was an accidental handball there by Solanke. Referees allowed play on. Arsenal have got the ball again, and they come forward over on the right-hand side. Arsenal, who played much better when they went down to 10 men in that game at the Bridge, but I think mainly because of the desire, the spirit, the commitment sort of crept in under Arteta. That's the minimum that he demands. I spent a bit of time with him a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, the body language on the pitch certainly is important, because it transmits not only to the people inside the ground who've come to watch you when you're at home, but also to your opponents that you mean business.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he's bang on with that.
Xhaka goes past Harry Wilson, moves up to the halfway line, plays the ball out towards the right-hand side. Well, he should have played it further out to the right, because that's where Pepe was waiting in acres of space. He didn't, and he went up to Willock instead, and eventually Bournemouth have managed to break down that attack. They've given the ball away rather generously to Guendouzi, then on to Willock. Space for Pepe on the right-hand side if they want to use him. He's made the wrong run there, though. They've gone to Nketiah instead, and now Pepe will have to scurry out towards the right side to retrieve it. He moves up towards the edge of the penalty area, feints to go one way, then comes back inside and gives it to Bellerin, all the way back to the halfway line, and eventually it's played by Mustafi to Xhaka.
Well, just saying, look how deep Solanke is now. I mean, when he flicked that ball on, he was almost 20 yards closer to the goal than the Arsenal one, moving to the halfway line. He's so deep, he needs to get up the pitch.
Great ball out towards the near side to Saka from Willen. Saka runs on into the penalty area, leaves it, and then Nketiah is coasting in at the edge of the 6-yard box. It floats through to Eddie Nketiah, who gets his first goal in an Arsenal shirt this season. He's come back from Leeds United, and a wonderful move again involving Bukayo Saka has generated another goal for Arsenal, who have raced into a 2-goal lead on the south coast. They're in front against Bournemouth by 2-0.
Well, again, it's fantastic football from the away team. They're moving the ball, stepping in, really good. Great ball into the front, in, back, set, through, out wide. There's that free ball out wide of Saka. Good first touch, sets himself, rolls it across just between the 6-yard box and a penalty spot. There's Nketiah, completely unmarked to sweep it home. Fantastic football again. again, Willock involved at the heart of it. Very impressive here from the away team.
That was a very good goal. Willock involved, Saka involved, Martinelli involved, Nketiah finishes it off. And when you look at that roster of names, you're talking about Willock 20, Martinelli 18, Saka 18, Nketiah 20. And that was excellent football, mature football, quick tempo football. And, well, we think it's 2-0, although there is a discussion about the possibility of an offside here. I don't think that that is going to be given. I think Nathan Ake is just ahead of Martinelli inside the penalty area.
Yeah, that's not offside. That's another really good goal. Again, that run from Martinelli across the front. He's allowed to do that because Saka provides the width.
Yeah, VAR still checking here. The crosshair lines are being drawn onto the pitch. Now, it might be that the knee of Martinelli might well be in front of Nathan Ake. Now, obviously, the lines that we are seeing and the bits of the VAR technology that we are seeing are not as clear and accurate as the ones they're seeing at Stockley Park. They've gone down, rather pixelated the picture, but we're checking to see whether or not there is a possible offside. It looks maybe as if it's very tight, but I think Nathan Ake will have played him onside, and that is indeed the call, and the decision is goal, no offside. Yeah, we could have done that without all those lines and technology.
Goodness me, I mean, look, was that clear and obvious?
That's not the rule, though. Nketiah turns, runs towards the edge of the D, tries to get towards the 18-yard box, stumbles, then plays it out towards the right, and Pepe will take it on. He tries to turn, manages to wriggle free of two defenders' grasp, into the penalty area, shoots left-footed low towards the near post, and it's into the side netting and goes behind and away for a goal kick. It is worth pointing that out. In matters of geography, like offside, or whether the ball was in or outside the penalty area, or whether or not a challenge was inside or outside a penalty area, it is deemed as a matter of fact, and therefore, as a result of that, the words clear and obvious not to come into it on those particular rules.
Wasn't there a new edict sent down saying that, you know, you shouldn't be, the FA shouldn't be, or the Premier League shouldn't be scrutinising marginal decisions like that?
That is what would be deemed as an opinion from the head of the IFAB, but they are not. That is not the implementation process. So the same breath, I think, if you read the IFAB protocol, it will tell you that matters of geography are to do with fact, and clear and obvious is not supposed to be used.
Well,
that may well change. I mean,